Welcome. This is the Drupal usability meeting for November 17th, 2023. I'm Benji Fisher moderating, and also present are Ralph Kohler, who's sharing the screen, Christina Chumias, who will start off the discussion, Aaron McHale, Emma Harrell, Simo Helston, and Thomas Howell. Thanks all for coming, and go ahead, Christina.
Okay, so this is a pilot test for the phase 4 of the test that we're going to run on the new navigation that we're preparing. I'm gonna skip all the intro info that we usually do at the beginning of the test, where we ask for like permission, we explain how a test works and everything. I'm just gonna give a few instructions, but apart from that, that's gonna be all. I would explain what we are going to test, but I don't want to break and spoil it for Ralph, who is going to be the person testing. So we can discuss it, the rest of the things a little bit further. And this way, this will help the rest of you to also not be spoiled. I'm not sure if you've tested already the new navigation. So it will be great if you want to take notes during the test. If you see something that doesn't work, or you don't like, or you would do different, or I don't know, whatever Ralph would say, or if you were doing the test, it would be great if we can have this feedback too. So we might not be able to change the tests, the prototype that we're testing, but we will definitely be able to implement that in future iterations. We will love to have a new iteration by the end of December, so that would help us. So to start,
just a sec. If anyone wants to make notes as Ralph goes through this, if you put them in the Zoom chat, then we'll have them all in one place, and it'll be a little jumbled, but at least it'll be recorded. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So basically, I would like read the whole how a test works, but basically, the most important thing would be like, while you follow the steps, so this document that I shared with you is divided into, it would usually be on one side, it's going to be for site builders or developers, and the other is going to be for content users, which is the one that is beyond that on the second one. And first, I posted at the beginning the site builder one, because assuming you have enough experience with Drupal, so I would prefer you first perform the first one. And basically, it consists of going through all these steps of each scenario, reading out loud what you have to do, and then do it. That's why you have the links in there, and you have the user and password to get into that. And it would be great if, while you are testing, you explain out loud something that you don't like, what you don't like, and obviously, just to be sure, this is testing the test, not you. So that's the most important part. So feel free to say whatever you think that something doesn't make sense for you. So if you want to start, it would be like starting with a scenario 1 and reading out loud what you have to do, and step by step, what are the steps.
Right. Shall I keep the instructions on the screen? Otherwise, I could move it to the other screen and keep just the tugboat instance shared with you.
In a normal user test, the user is just sharing the screen that he is on, and we'll let the user choose if they divide the screen in two, or if they change tabs, or so the user chooses in the way that they actually work normally.
Okay. Then I keep it in tabs. Okay. So scenario 1 for admin users or site builders is you want to create a page named About Us and then add it to the main menu. My task is the following. Log into the URL with the following credentials. I've already done that. Then create a new page called About Us with the following dummy text. Yeah, I'll copy that already. And then place this page on the main site menu. Translate this page to Spanish with the title.
Yeah. Could you do step by step?
Yep. I just wanted to read through all the steps and then jump over. Okay. Step 1 is already done. Now create a new page called About Us. I see the sidebar. I have now shortcuts, which are expandable. And I have a create. And there I already see the basic page. I'm supposed to create a node for. So that looks familiar, the rest. Okay, I just click basic page. It's in English. What was the name again? No particular page. No, About Us. English. I copy in. Place this page on the main side menu. I check the provider menu link. I call it About Us. About Us page. Current link in the main navigation. And I think, is there anything else to do in step number 2? And step number 3, place this page on the main side menu. I would say save. And then I would translate it as required in step number 4. I changed the title to Sobre Nosotros, or however it is pronounced. Apologies in case. And I save this. I think scenario 1 might be done.
The main menu, could you go back to the, I only see home, articles, and recipes on the main menu. I'm not sure if that's not in there, maybe.
But I'm now. Oh, one detail I haven't really noticed visually. I'm not sure if it was there before, but the horizontal toolbar up there with preview and save. I have now 2 save buttons, and that I consider confusing. Also, I have a preview up there, and also in combination, the save button up there has not the addition of this translation. And I'm confused about the context that way. Also, what's that? Okay. Go back to site. In English, it's also not shown. I go to content. Basic page, it is published. I go into edit. It got forgot. I thought I saw, I saved it. Okay. Oh. I've got a suspicion. I go back in there again. Okay. Provide a menu link. About us. Us page. If I go now, save up there.
Okay, maybe there is some problem with the prototype, so don't worry.
Okay.
I'm gonna take a note from that.
But definitely having, if I go back in there, that horizontal toolbar and the other, that angle, that vertical and horizontal in 90 degree, that's confusing. And also with the focus and the area of attention, it's challenging for me from a cognitive standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So is scenario 1 covered then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, then you're free to move to the next one.
Okay. Okay. Imagine the scenario is the following. Imagine that you would like to see revisions or changes or of a specific article. My task is the following. Tell us what you're thinking as you go. Look for an article in the list of content. Find what changes have been made to this article. Okay. So I'm going back into the content. One detail I also wonder, if I compare, I have the tab content, blogs, files, media, but in the sidebar I only have content, files, and media. Is it the case that there are no, there are blogs? So that is also confusing. But I'll stick with articles. And I take a look at, let's hear it for carrots, for example. I go in there. No, oops, let's change for carrots. Otherwise, check that way. And find what changes have been made to this article. And I go into the revisions tab. There were no changes.
Could you try to do that from the form?
From where? Again, please.
From could you try to do, but instead of going into the front end itself, could you try to do that, but from the edit form? We will probably have to change the script.
Let's go Thai green curry. Try another one. Okay. Also on there somewhere. No. So basically in the horizontal toolbar, I have to admit I wouldn't have searched necessarily under more options. But there is the revisions option now. And there are also no available revisions there.
Would you think something else, if instead of being named as more options, if it was named in another way, would be useful?
I think I wouldn't necessarily have searched up there. I would search in the context of the advanced sidebar and the options there. And if basically if something like the revisions would be available there by a link instead of all the different context packed in a single generic more options select list. Instead, there in the sidebar you have more categories, and at least in the context of revisions, it might be more straightforward from my point of view to have a link there to basically go to revisions, something like that.
Okay. Cool. What else? Okay, then I think
Scenario 2 is
you
done.
Yeah, exactly.
Then we go to scenario 3. You want to add French as a new language to the site. Read each task out loud, then say out loud what steps you're taking in order to complete the task. Tell us what you're thinking as you go. Find an administration where you would add a new language, add French as that new language. Okay. I would say my first guess would be take a look under configuration. Then regions and languages, and then languages. And there I would go and add the language. French.
Did you miss seeing an overview of the whole configuration options of all the pages or all the landing page for configuration?
I've tapped the caret on the right side and expanded the section, but an overview page, I'm not sure if I'm able to get.
And not having that do you think that could be a problem for you?
Honestly speaking, those overview pages, in most cases, I consider rather a distraction or unnecessary, because basically on that page you just have, if you go to a page without that navigation, you have basically a page with just 5 to 10 links with no visual cues and nothing. So having that in the sidebar is already enough. And not having those pages, I consider okay and not a problem at all. It's a bit unexpected. I have to admit, I've intentionally clicked those icons because I wanted to avoid the overview page by clicking. So I wouldn't have noticed if you wouldn't have told me.
Okay, now could you try to get to a place where you can actually add all the see all the content types that you have? or that you can
Content.
create probably if you want to create a content type and you
Okay.
want to see an overview.
Oops, structure, content types.
Yeah, sorry, I meant that because that's out of the test itself.
Yeah,
That's basically if you want to create and you want to create all the content types that you had, below the create itself, you don't have a see all. This is like creating content types, not creating content. So if you want to add a new node and you want to
a
decide
new node
which,
you wanted. Okay.
yeah, sorry.
That you mean. Okay.
Exactly. Below this, you don't have a see all because it's not just about content, it's about also media and other entities. Do you think in here it would be a problem? Like, show me all the things that you have. Imagine that you have like 25 content types, and obviously you can't have them all here. Would you miss it from here? If everybody listening can take notes and think about an answer, that would be awesome.
I have one other problem. To know when I get to a page visually and when just the thing gets expanded. For example, or is it based? Okay, yeah. So basically everything with that icon is just a menu item with no page associated. And for all others, okay, that is doable. And about your question, create. That's tricky because that would
I know.
That would basically break the pattern you've established for the rest of the navigation bar. Because, as I've stated from my perception, it is if a menu item has an icon, then it's just for expanding and collapsing, but has no associated page. But in the regard of the create page, and also due to the fact that, as you said, there might be 20 or 40 content types and other entity types that isn't viable in a single column sidebar list. And maybe just it might be a good idea, maybe add a second icon, one for collapsing and one for reaching the actual overview page.
Okay, no, yeah, that's getting already into the solutions. And probably then we should actually open the floor to the rest.
Yeah, but basically, it's confused. It's the pattern is definitely confusing. And just from a visual aspect, the font size compared to the general font size in the main content area is slightly smaller, and it looks a bit tiny.
Okay. So I think it's for the time that we are, and it's great that we've been able to test this. I think it's not necessary because you've basically, as a site builder, you've done everything that a content author would do. So I don't think it's necessary that you follow with the steps from the content user. So I think that's great. If we can stop here, that's great. Then so let's say we just stop the user test, and it could be like until here, and then we have I think you Ralph were the one. Let me see if I can find your comment that you were saying it would be great to add. Where is this in here? If we could have questions for what? I don't remember. You mentioned 3 hours ago it would be great to have questions after that, like a questionnaire or something.
That you're referring to. No, my main point was just where was it? 1 second. The interviewee should explain the question back to the interviewer in their own words. So basically what the task is, but
I see.
the task itself were clear from my point of view. And
okay.
Yeah.
Then could you jump into the extra questions at the bottom of the document? This is something that we're going to ask for all participants to fill this extra form.
I post the link in the chat, if that's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm gonna probably clean up everything afterwards, all the answers, so we keep the answers from the final testers. But yeah, it's basically how is it called? A debriefing questions. It's basically to see, because sometimes people say, I don't like this, but then they think, no, this is really useful or not useful, usable. And those are kind of debriefing questions for asking a little bit how people perceive that. So could you try to answer that? And then the rest of the people could see the form at the same time to see if they think that's useful.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I think for that form, those steps I've posted in the channel are more appropriate, because in those over here are more or less clear, but those are unsupervised, and that makes way more sense. So I think that I would like to use the new navigation frequently. The question I ask myself here is there another option? So in the current form, I would say a 3, because the point is the horizontal navigation bar or toolbar, or however it's addressed, I consider problematic. And I have to admit, the vertical toolbar, I'm not a real fan. I dislike the one in Claro. I always use the horizontal one.
1 second, just to be sure that we're all discussing the same. When you say you're not a fan of the vertical, you mean you're not a fan of the horizontal? You mean the one at the top?
No, I'm not a fan of the toolbar in the vertical
in the left
orientation.
In this, so this one right now.
Like in the same, like 1 second test. Oops, if you switch it like that one, I always
You don't like it. Okay.
I don't like it at all. And I always used the horizontal one. And so I'm sort of biased having the toolbar vertical here at the moment as the only option. because also
Okay.
And Ralph, I think you also use the contributed admin toolbar
Yeah.
module.
Yeah, that's important.
Yep.
Okay. Next
That's the
one.
reasoning behind the three. I found the new navigation unnecessarily complex. That is for me, I ask myself, do you ask in general, or would you divide that question into two? Because for me, the vertical toolbar here is one part, but in particular, if I am on the edit screen and having that, is that also part of the navigation? Is it also considered as part of the navigation?
So basically we have the left sidebar,
Yeah.
which has been tested for 3 rounds already, and this 4th test is only to test things, well, not only, but is to test things from the top bar, because it's the first time that we've done this prototype, this iteration of the top bar itself.
Okay.
We're testing if it's useful to like open and close the sidebar on the right, if it's the buttons that we have make sense, if removing the local tasks to the top makes sense, and all these things.
Okay,
so
because the question is, from my point of view, not precise.
Yeah, that's because we don't want to actually condition the people answer between the left and the top. This is going to be a test to people, to the whole thing that we are suggesting. I mean, I'm explaining that to you, so you understand, but I don't want to make this difference. So if people have any input when we are doing the test, that's going to be there.
I just want to provide my point of view, because that makes me struggle answering the question, because in regards of the scope, if I would answer just for the left sidebar, I would say a 3 or a 2. It's an improved pattern of an already existing sidebar, but in combination with the top bar, I would give it a 5. Because yeah, the top bar is quite challenging for me.
The 5 means that you don't like. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
I consider it unnecessarily complex. It's
exactly.
It's challenging for me that way. Yeah. I thought the new navigation was easy to use. I would give it a 2 or a 1, but I'll give it a 2. Again, it's the question of the scope. And also, if I would associate the top toolbar with the sidebar, if I wouldn't have the feedback by you, then I would be unsure. Therefore, yeah, but I would give it a 2. Basically, it's yeah, the top bar made it complicated. I think that I would need the support of a technical person to use the new navigation. No, I found my way. It was just in some parts nagging and confusing until I realized how things work. And there was also a potential issue you've said when the menu wasn't saved. But aside that, I don't think that I would need any technical assistance. I found the various functions in the new navigation were well integrated.
What does that mean?
Yeah.
Sorry, I was answering on the chat. Could you repeat? I found the various functions of the navigation to be well integrated.
Yeah. And Benji asked, what does that actually mean? And I can agree to that. In the sidebar, for the ease, I call it as the vertical sidebar, just sidebar for now, and the top bar, just top bar. And I would say I would give the sidebar probably a 3 or 4, because having more and direct access for the creation of entities is a good thing. But as you already noted, in case there are more, it gets complicated, and yeah, not an easy problem, definitely. There would give a 3 or 4, but with a top bar, I would rather really struggle with it, to be honest. So probably
I think. Sorry, finish.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say it's only like 15 minutes, and I think maybe instead of going through the test, it might be more useful to let the rest of the people, because I see a lot of people have opinions, and maybe it might be good like to discuss as a group like the whole navigation instead of because there are still like several questions, and definitely will help me to see that this is not a half an hour test, it's more like a 45 1-hour test.
Yeah.
So this is really helpful. I think we should actually open the floor now to the rest of the people, but if you want to give any final thoughts to this, like any
just one brief addition. I'll finish the survey after the meeting, and I give you quick feedback to each of the open questions in regards of if a rephrasing might be necessary or not, just as a feedback.
I would love that.
It was clear.
Yeah, thank you. I would love that.
Okay. Shall I switch to the other screen, and so the floor is open for the rest? Yeah.
So just before jumping in, let me just give you some more information. So far we've done 3 tests. This would be like the 4th. Some of the things that we found, this is an answer for Simo. Some of the things that we've tested were so we've seen that people that has experience with the existing toolbar will have a lot of not a lot of, but will have resistance to change most of the time, because they've just used first to the top bar, and second they have the bad experience with the left navigation with the top bar, the existing one. So we've seen a lot of resistance from people, and this will probably have to be managed with how was it the technical word for this? Managed change strategy or something like that, where we will actually give people reasons to change to the new one, for the site builders especially, so they will be able to create new menus, arrange menus, reorganize, so to increment the adoption of that. Something else that we found is that content users or people that don't have experience, they because on the first test what we did was like control versions with the top bar and the left bar, and absolutely all users that didn't have experience with Drupal preferred the left one, because it's more useful more usual pattern on most of the tools that you can find around, across the webs. Basically, if you have like a really complex navigation, and we did some research on that, like why on the left and everything, like especially like with like let me see if I remember all the reasons, but there is there is a link for that. There is some reasoning behind that, which is most of the people work in Drupal on desktop, then you have more horizontal space and all that. Then why we introduced this top bar, it's because first, on complex forms, a lot of people were missing a save button that wasn't just on the bottom. But you are right that when you have two buttons, it's complex. Well, we can discuss that with all of you. But basically, there were several integrations that didn't make sense on the toolbar, especially if you collapse the toolbar. Could you try to collapse the toolbar 1 second?
On here
Yeah.
or on
So
here?
there's no.
That is the other one. Okay,
both.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, this left one, the option to expand and collapse the toolbar, that's something that people at the beginning didn't find, but afterwards people really like to be able, most of them said, yeah, well, I think after time, I will probably navigate this way because I will like, I will know where stuff is and everything, and that would give me more real estate space and everything. So, that's it. And I don't want to speak more. I should actually listen to you. So thoughts?
Go ahead, Thomas.
Very briefly, I kind of like some of the changes, but the thing that I would note is that it feels like a pretty hefty change. And so with something like the save buttons, I was less bothered by the fact that there were two buttons than that they looked very different. There wasn't continuity between the two of them, so I was interpreting them as being different purposes.
Hey, Ralph, could you scroll
Yeah,
down so
sorry.
we can see the other save button? Thanks.
Yeah, so some context about that. Yeah, sorry, that's too much information that I'm missing. To give you, basically, there are three things happening here. First, we're working on the layout redesign, which means that we're trying to change, move things from places. We have this left bar, so we will have the top bar for more contextual things. Apart from that, we want to have some kind of bottom notifications part, and that's the answer to Simo that was saying maybe we should always have them at the bottom. The problem is that the bottom part right now is used for other, it's only used right now for the views bulk operations when you have something selected, but in the future we might have notifications at the bottom, and usually it's a pattern that I think it's more used on the bottom. But yeah, that's the four sides that we have: left, top, bottom, and then on the right we have either the settings tray or the sidebar. And that's the layout navigation. And on top of that, we're redesigning Claro. And these styles, instead of being implemented with the existing Claro styles, the person that implemented the top bar prototype just copied the styles from the prototype that we gave. And we're for the sake of doing things fast, we're just reusing the new styles that we're working on. So that's why they look different. The plan is that they shouldn't look different, but that's it. And also about the redesign, layout redesign and Claro redesign, is that we are trying to we're redesigning Claro in a way that it will look like this is something that we agreed a while ago with Sasha, and he has implemented that on Gene. So if you've seen Gene, there is like a gray background, and then everything is like wrapped in white layers or areas. And that's it. That's why it looks different. So.
Okay, I'm going to ask Ralph to hold on to his question for a bit. Aaron, can you go next?
Hi, thanks. Yeah, Yeah, I just wanted to add that obviously I've kind of been a bit involved in this a bit more longer, in testing DrupalCon, so I don't have any direct questions. I just wanted to also add that one of the advantages of the top bar is that it provides a consistent experience between the front end and the back end for things like the breadcrumb and the local tasks, and that's something that's often I found can be confusing if you're trying, particularly if you go from like the view of it, like you're viewing content, then you go to edit, and then you go to revisions or something. Like the local tasks and the breadcrumb are jumping all over the place because they're different, they're positioned and look differently in the back end and front end. So a really important thing about this new top bar is it provides that consistency between the back end and front end, and that's something we actually at the University of Edinburgh we have with our current CMS, where there's a consistency there, and that's something that I think is a good, is a good pattern, and something I've been keen that we introduced.
So is that outside the theme system, or do you need the front end and back end theme too?
Oh, yeah, at the University of Edinburgh we have the same front end and back end theme is the same, but on our old system. But in this, I don't know how I don't know what
Please
the
don't-
plan is for this. Yeah, so
Don't look at the code right now. This is a really quick
Well,
prototype,
yeah.
and they did it really, really well for the time that they had. But it's like it's like
Okay.
it's something that we didn't want to invest a lot of time to make sure that we prove that it's useful for people, that actually people think that that's worth. So
Okay,
any feedback, welcome.
Ralph, go ahead.
Just one brief addition to the, because I've just actually tried over here. I have the visual cue that structure, for example, has submenu items, but if that is collapsed, it's not necessary. I'm not sure. Is here something underneath? Okay, yeah, but the point is also, okay, then it's clear, but here it's kept open, but if you move aside, okay, yeah. I just have, when I've tried Chin, I always struggled that the menu closed, but so having just clicked and that is kept open would be maybe a nice touch, or if you
So you'd like some visual indication of which of these are actual links and which are groups of links?
Yeah.
Okay, we have only 5 minutes left. I think, Emma, you have something you'd like to say?
I just had a question. Were the actions that Ralph took for each of the different tasks in the scenario, was that what you expected to see, Christina, Aaron, or because sometimes it can be really difficult to get the task right for this kind of thing with navigation, because in my experience testing this sort of thing, people aren't really looking, well, people will comment on menus because, as we've established, they'll have preconceived ideas of how they think it will work based on what they have before, but what you really want them to do is just focus on the task, so you can see naturally how they're using the navigation, because any navigation can be a bit clunky the first time you use it, but it's sort of that initial reaction can sometimes not be that helpful to help you decide on the right route, because if people can figure it out, then that's quite a good indicator that you've put things in the right place. Like if you saw him fail on those tasks, that would be a red flag that this has not worked. But yeah, I guess sorry, roundabout way of asking, do you have like the answers to the tasks that you expected to see to sort of help guide decisions, or is that something you need to work on?
I think I have a few hypotheses of things that doesn't work on with the top bar already. Yeah. Like for example, I don't remember who said I think it was Thomas, like that they don't look the way that they should look, like if they are not what people would expect. Like for example, the preview should look as the preview at the bottom.
Yeah.
The more options should look like us, should be named different, and at the same time, it actually kind of inherits the problem that the local tasks have, which is
Yeah.
basically a bucket of different things that don't make any sense together, but we know they were there. So probably in here, we should have more actions. And then if we have options like provisions, or I don't know, things that are not as much as doing an action on this actual thing, actual node, maybe they should, as Ralph said, they should stay on the sidebar instead of on these actions and be more actions. So we need probably to separate that. So I think it's the feedback is good. It's good. It's really useful. I'm not sure if we will be able to change any of that on time, but I think yeah, this is actually showing that these have a lot of like a lot of things to improve. The goal of these tests is basically validating the fact that we need or not need this top bar. The problem is that if we don't have this top bar, where do we put all this stuff that we need? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why we came up with the idea of the top bar, because I think if this stays sticky, it's going to be useful. Maybe the solution, instead of having two buttons, is that the moment that you scroll down, the bottom is at the bottom instead of being at the top and at the bottom, or that they never show at the same time, or I don't know. I still don't know.
Yeah,
But
there's a
this
lot
is
of
really
options,
valuable
and
info.
it is a lot of options, I guess. I mean, although Ralph said he didn't think he would find it in more options, he did find it there. So that, and if you've seen from the other 4 people that they also found the revisions there. Like I said, sometimes it just people do something for the first time, it's difficult, but if they manage it, then the second time they know where it is. So sorry, Ralph, you have your hand up.
No worries, no worries. Go ahead. Finish
No,
first.
I think I'm done, really.
Okay.
It's
then just one brief addition. I consider it also a bit confusing. On here, you have the edit about us. While if you go over here, you basically have a breadcrumb instead, and I'm not sure.
I'm gonna show you the designs that we're working on.
I'm afraid we're at the end of the hour, so feel free to continue the discussion in Slack, but I think we should end the meeting at this point.
We have 1 more minute,
Okay.
just to be sure.
Design mode, or
Design mode. So you can see if you zoom into the top one, or the form one, as you can see, the top bar visually looks different. It's not as confusing because you have like this gray part in here. So you have also some context, because I would love to have more feedback from you. So if you want to throw that in Slack, or if you want to open a joint issue with all the feedback from the people in the call today on the navigation, or I don't know, however you want to give me feedback, or if you want me to join the next meeting, I can provide you a link to test all this, and whatever you prefer. And yes, I'm done. That's the minute that I was asking for.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks all for coming. I don't usually copy the meeting chat, but this time I will. So you'll see that on the usability issue and the rough transcript, and probably early next week I'll have the editing recording. Thanks again for coming, and we'll do it again next week.
Thanks.
Hope you can make it.
I had a quick question, Benji. Is the time changing at any point, or are we going to continue to be meeting at this time?
Currently, I plan to keep the meeting time. If we want to change it, we can discuss that. So I guess it's not set in stone, but that's the current plan.
Okay, current plan is to stick at the 8 a.m. time for Central. Got it. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thanks, everyone. Let's keep talking on Slack.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Bye.
Have a nice weekend.
Bye.